I see the live.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good to go.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for a chance to meet again tonight and discuss the borough business and help this work session to go smoothly. And we thank you for all the efforts that are being made by our employees, by our police, and by our first responders. We ask, Heavenly Father, that you be with us, continue to help Fred completely recover from that fall. And we thank you, Heavenly Father, that in general, it seems like the virus is becoming less an issue in some places. So we pray that the vaccines would continue to come forth. Thank you for the efforts of the Gobans to make those things effective and to get them in the hands of local people. And we thank you, Heavenly Father, for all your mercies to us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of
of
America,
America,
to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for
for
all.
all.
Well, that might have been the best one yet.
All right.
Well, that's not saying all.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Crouch, Mr. Darius, Mrs. Deal,
Present.
Mr.
I'm here,
Erickson,
Fred. I'm just on the way.
I'm present, and that was Mike, I think.
Mr. Sinkovitz, Mr. Penner.
Here.
It appears we have a quorum, Scott, 4 members.
Okay, and Michael is here. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we invited Mr. Potts to come in and explain just a little background in case you didn't get it, Mr. Potts. We received the letter about Claremont. There was lots of questions and I think concerns. I think everybody on council wanted an opportunity to talk with you and just maybe to clear up some of their questions. So how about maybe give us a short spiel that maybe isn't in the letter, and then we can answer questions.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to be with you tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity. Let me start out with a few minutes on where things stand right now. Back in October, the commissioners announced that they were going to pursue a plan to sell Claremont. And after that, in December, they received bids from 9 different organizations, all of them for-profit corporations. That has now been whittled down to 2. One of those is a company called All Air from New Jersey, and the other is a company called Transitions from Maryland. And this week, the commissioners are doing site visits to facilities that these companies own. These are large corporations that own facilities in many different states. I think there's one in Gettysburg, but other than that, I don't believe there are any in Pennsylvania. And after the site visits, they're going to decide whether they're going to sell, and if they are going to sell, who's going to get the winning bid. What we've been doing at Citizens Saving Claremont is trying to slow down this process. There weren't any public hearings before they announced the decision to sell Claremont. And there haven't been very many in the way of public hearings since then. There have been exactly 2 Zoom meetings, and those were not well publicized and therefore were not well attended. But meanwhile, Citizens Saving Claremont has put together a Facebook page and a petition, and we've had more than 2,000 people sign the petition saying, wait a minute, which is basically my plea to you, is to say, wait a minute, we haven't had the opportunity to really weigh in and understand what this decision means. Claremont, in one form or another, has been operated by the county for 192 years. It is unique in the county among all the for-profit and nonprofit nursing homes in that it has its very foundational mission is to serve low-income people who can't afford to pay $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000 a month when they need a nursing home care. And so that's why it is It has been around for 192 years. The bidders that are left, the two bidders that are left, are known bidders to Medicare. Medicare does a rating of all of the nursing homes in the country, profit, nonprofit alike, as well as government owned. Claremont has a higher quality rating than either of the two bidders. And we know from experience in other states that these two bidders, when they buy a nonprofit nursing home or a government nursing home, do not have a very good track record. They have come in and they do what it takes to make a profit, which usually means cutting staff, which means reducing staff salaries. There's high turnover among the staff, and all of this is to support the profit. And of course, there's nothing wrong with the profit motive except when profit is the motive. And in this case, the profit ends up costing people the quality of care that they deserve and the quality of care that we've been fortunate to provide in Cumberland County for all of these years. You may have read in the Sentinel last week, I guess it was, that Commissioner Jean Fauci has decided she's not going to support the sale of Claremont at this time. She, like us, has agreed that we need to spend more time trying to figure out what the real problems are with Claremont and whether Claremont can become profitable again. It operates as a business and is expected to generate enough revenue to cover its costs. And as recently as 2018, it did that. It actually added money to its reserves. Last year was a bad year because of COVID. You look at what happened with COVID, and in the first 5 months of the year, the average daily census at Claremont was what it was comparably to other years. But then as soon as May hit and the COVID virus started hitting, everybody understood that nursing homes are not a place you want to be with COVID. And so people stopped coming to Claremont, and that resulted in a net loss of $1.8 million in operating revenue last year. That was enough to put Claremont in a deficit. And so they took $900,000 out of the Claremont reserve. There's still $300,000 left in the Claremont reserve. But this year, again, because of COVID, they've had to put $2 million into it from the county general fund in order to balance the budget for Claremont. Now, we believe that there's a lot that can be done to save Claremont, both in terms of getting their revenues back to where they should be and also cutting their expenditures. But we haven't had the opportunity to talk with the commissioners about that. They frankly haven't wanted to hear it. They are the two other commissioners, Commissioner Eichelberger and Commissioner DeFilippo, seem bound and determined to sell Claremont no matter what. And that has us greatly concerned because this is potentially one of the most consequential decisions that the commissioners will make in their tenure. To stop doing something we've been doing for 192 years is not something you should do without examining all of the alternatives. Among things we don't know, for example, are what Claremont is objectively worth. We know that its revenues are projected to be $31.9 million this year. So at least it's a $32 million business. We don't know what the land is worth. We don't know what the buildings are worth. It's entirely possible that Claremont could be worth $40 million as an asset to the county and the taxpayers of the county, who are, of course, the owners of Claremont. But when we don't know what the bids are for Claremont, I've heard through the grapevine that one of the bids was $21 million. Well, you don't sell a $40 million asset for $21 million in order to save $2 million. It doesn't make sense. And from my point of view, you don't try to sell something unless you know what it's worth. You don't just go out there and say, we're going to sell it to whoever wants to buy it, regardless of what it's worth. When we brought this up at the last Claremont board meeting, they said, well, we'll figure out what it's worth after we decide who gets the bid. That makes no sense at all to me. It's just not good business practice. And the other thing that we don't know is what will be done with the money. Suppose they do sell it. Suppose they get $20 million for it, or suppose they sell it for $40 million. They have not said what they're going to do with the money. Are they going to use that money to subsidize care at the new facility for people who are low-income people who can't afford to go to a private facility? Are they going to just put it into the general fund? We have no idea what's going to be done with that money. And that's another thing we think that we should know and the taxpayers should have the opportunity to weigh in on before a final decision is made. So that's kind of where things stand right now. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have about the history of Claremont or anything else that matters to you.
Let's open it up to questions. Did you say that it's been servicing Cumberland County for 192 years?
That's correct. It was originally established by law. Counties under the county code have an obligation to provide for low indigent people. And we do that through a lot of different human services. Obviously, the most common one is what we call welfare. But county homes were established under the law because of the need to provide medical care for people who are indigent. And so, yeah, it's been around for 192 years. For part of that time, it was a home for the mentally insane. For part of that time, it was in other uses. But it's been a home for Cumberland County citizens for 192 years.
Wow.
Do you know what the average person pays to stay at Claremont?
Well, the average person actually doesn't pay anything because the average person is relying on Medicaid. 75% of Claremont's patients are are sponsored by Medicaid or paid for by Medicaid or Medicare, one or the other. The last figure I saw on a private pay patient was about $3,000 to $4,000 a month, which is far below what you would pay for a for-profit facility, or although about the same as you would pay for another nonprofit facility like Messiah Lifeways or something like that.
Right. So
Go ahead, Joey.
I was just wondering, do the people that are there basically on Medicare or Medicaid, does their check just automatically go to Claremont?
Yes, the Medicare and Medicaid paid Claremont directly for the service that's being provided. And in order to qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, especially Medicaid, you have to spend down your resources. So you can't go into Claremont and have $50,000 in the bank and expect Medicaid to pay for it. You have to spend down your own resources until you get down to a level where Medicaid kicks in.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Have the commissioners required the bidders to provide a price structure? I'm sure they'll also accept Medicare, but what will they charge? Do we have any idea what they'll charge over and above that?
No, we don't. That's a very good question, and we don't. The only thing that's been discussed in that regard is the commissioners want a contract that says whoever the successful bidder is, will maintain the level of Medicaid patients 75% for the next 15 years. The problem with that, and the county's own consultant has said so, is that that's really unenforceable. You can say it, and then a month after the sale is complete, the successful bidder, the new owner, can say, well, our business model has changed and we can't make a profit with 75% Medicaid patients. So we're going to cut it back to 30% Medicaid patients. And there's nothing the county can do about it at that point. So one of the things that we've suggested as an alternative that we'd like to discuss is a co-ownership model. If we want to sell it, have a co-ownership model that allows the county to maintain control of some things like that without necessarily giving up ownership of it. But we haven't been able to engage the commissioners in that kind of discussion.
Tim, you are representing a group of people who are opposing this.
Yes, that's right.
Can you just describe the group a little bit, who it is that's involved in this? It's a broad cross-section of folks, one of whom is Rick Ravino. You may remember he was a county commissioner for, I think, 12 years. He's been off the county commission for 8 or 10 or something like that. But he's one of them. Another one is a woman named Sherry Knowlton, who used to run Medicaid programs for the state of Pennsylvania. So she has a great deal of background. Another is a political science professor at Dickinson College. I'm
retired from the school board, Carlisle School Board. It's a real broad variety of people. One is a lobbyist in Harrisburg who lobbies on behalf of poor people. Just a whole broad range of folks who are interested in this and want to see the process slowed down so we can have more input and maybe come up with a better decision.
And none of them have a financial interest in this.
Oh, no, nobody has a financial interest in it at all. In fact, well, we have a financial interest in that we're spending money to try to stop the sale.
Right.
You may have seen we put 2 full-page newspaper ads in the Sentinel last week. We have some ads coming out in the Patriot, and that's all coming out of our pockets. But in terms of the prospective owners or the current owners of Claremont, no, we don't have any financial interest at all.
What do you think the bottom line is for the reason that they want to sell it?
Well, it depends on who you talk to and when you talk to them. One of them is Medicaid reimbursements. Medicaid reimbursements haven't been raised in several years. And that is a real problem because Medicaid is not paying the full freight for the quality of care that the people are receiving. There's no question about that. Now, with the new administration coming in, there's a lot of talk about raising Medicaid reimbursement rates, but of course that hasn't happened yet, and we can't predict that it will. It seems like a pretty good bet since it hasn't happened in several years, but we can't guarantee it. And the other thing is that Commissioner Eichelberger in particular says that running a nursing home isn't a core function of county government. And of course, for 192 years, it has been a core function of county government. And it still is if you buy into the idea that this is a unique mission, to care for the poor people of Cumberland County. Nonprofit nursing homes don't have that mission. The for-profit nursing homes don't have that mission. Only Claremont does. And it's been that way for a reason for 192 years. Now, the other thing I guess they say is that this year we're having to take $2 million out of the county general fund to provide a balanced budget for Claremont. And they think, well, this is going to have to go on for years and years into the future. We frankly just don't believe it for the reasons I told you. Once COVID is passed, we expect the census will go up again, and we expect that the revenues will start coming in again. We also expect the Medicaid reimbursements to rise. So we're not convinced of that. But even if we did have to wait a year or even 2 years, that's $4 million. The county surplus is $45 million. They've got a general fund surplus of $45 million as of January 1st last year that they're sitting on. And they sit on it for precisely this kind of a reason. When there's an emergency, when there's an unexpected problem that comes up in whether it's in drug and alcohol programs like the opioid crisis, or whether it's in some other function of county government, they have a cushion they can rely on. Well, let's use that part of that cushion for Claremont until we can figure out how the best way to proceed is, and if we can keep Claremont as a profitable county institution.
Well, didn't they put an addition on at Claremont or added therapy or something not too many years ago?
Yes, and that has been.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it used to be Claremont Nursing Home, and then it became Claremont Nursing and Rehabilitation Center.
Yep.
And that's because they added rehabilitation services, short-term rehabilitation services. And that has proven to be a real moneymaker for the nursing home. So, and they also
Well,
put
I
in.
would have thought so.
Yeah. But, like the nursing home part of it, the rehabilitation part of it's suffering because nobody wants to go there in a pandemic.
Right.
Once the vaccines, I don't know if you saw, there was an article in the newspaper the other day. Now that the vaccines are in the nursing homes, the incidence of COVID has dropped more than it has in the rest of the country. It's dropped by 80%. So we're getting to a point because of the vaccines where nursing homes are going to be very safe to go back into again. And we just need to get that census up. And when we get the census up, we get the revenues up.
So Tim,
Tim, you've talked about the census, and do you know what it was before COVID and what it is, now?
Before COVID, I'm pretty sure it was in the 240 to 250 range, and now it's down into the 160, 170 range. So it's taken quite a hit.
but it doesn't have to stay that way once we get this under control.
Tim, what is it you specifically want us to do?
Well, we would love it if the council would adopt a resolution asking the commissioners to pause the plan to sell Claremont. Not stop it altogether, just put it on hold until we can address some of these questions, until COVID is behind us and we can get the census up and get the revenues back up, and until we can explore other ways that we might deal with the problems that Claremont has. It just seems like this is a fire sale. You know, instead of taking a real deliberate, careful approach to how we deal with Claremont, they're just saying, okay, we're just going to sell it no matter what. And, you know, the consequences can be what they are. And we don't think that that's a particularly responsible way to handle it, both for the staff at Claremont, the current patients at Claremont, the future patients at Claremont, and the taxpayers.
I guess I have a question for Marcus.
Yes.
Marcus, can the county just sell something like that without bringing it to the voters of Cumberland County?
Yes. If they own the asset, they can sell it. Now, not all their assets are all that sellable.
Mm-hmm.
But if they own an office building, they can sell it. If they own the county home, my grandfather used to tell me that it used to be the county poorhouse,
Right, right.
and they would. A lot of charities in town would go up and support it by bringing food and other things that would be helpful that way. So it does have a long history, and there's no question that when it comes to nursing home care, for-profit nursing homes, they only take Medicaid patients if there's no other, if they have beds that aren't being used otherwise. The gold standard is private pay, which runs between 10 and 12,000 a month. Medicare for rehab reimburses more than Medicaid does. Medicaid is the lowest level, and most nursing homes try to get rid of Medicaid patients if they have someone else who can pay more. They can't easily do it. They can't easily do it, but because when we have a client that's on Medicaid and we get them into a home, we act as their advocates to make sure they stay there, and that if there's a reason they have to leave, that they're permitted to come back again. Office of the Aging helps us do that.
There's an
Thanks,
excellent question about a referendum. One of the things that we had suggested to the commissioners was that they have some public hearings and have a referendum on the question, but we were told that the law does not permit county commissioners to have referenda, not even non-binding referenda. So that idea is a good idea, but we weren't able to pull that off.
You said you haven't been able to engage the commissioners. Have they just not responded to your inquiries, or what has been the level of response from them?
It's been a blanket denial. They are not interested in talking with us about other possibilities for Claremont. And it's not just us. You may be familiar with the Partnership for Better Health, which was the foundation that was created when they sold Carlisle Hospital, and it serves Cumberland County. The Partnership for Better Health is very much concerned about this, and they've offered several times to work with the county commissioners on vetting potential purchasers. They've offered to put up money to do a study of how to turn Claremont around and make it profitable once again. And the commissioners just flat out said, no, we're not interested. So it's been unfortunately hostile.
I have a question. How many people are employed by the county at Claremont?
That I can't tell you. I couldn't even hazard a reasonable guess. I'm sorry.
Okay, any other questions for Tim?
No.
Well, once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with you tonight. Obviously, I'm passionate about this, and I really do appreciate the opportunity.
Do you know when they expect to vote?
They, as I said, they're doing site visits this week. They did a site visit yesterday, and they're doing another one on Friday. They expect to vote by the end of the month, but that's as much as they've been willing to say about when they're going to make the decision, just by the end of March. But it's going to be soon. We can pretty much bet on that.
God, if we're going to act, I think we should act tonight because our next meeting will not be until the last Tuesday of the month, and that might be too late.
I agree.
I agree. And they need to think that, you know, someday they may be in that position where they're going to need a old folks home that will take their Medicare.
Yeah,
Payment.
a lot of us could be in that condition.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and I think it's actually one of the things that Cumberland County should be proud of, that it's been able to maintain a home as quality as Claremont for so many years. But again, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, thank you again. I'll leave you to your deliberations.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, Tim.
Being with
You're
us.
very welcome. Good night.
All right.
Good night. All right. Before we go any further, let's hit up the citizen comments. Fred, did you have any?
I had none today, no.
Okay, I don't have any on YouTube either, so. Okay, do you want to continue this discussion, or do you want to hold off until the end of the meeting to discuss it?
Well, I mean, why don't we just get a sense of where we all are, and then it might be a quick conversation. I don't know. I mean, my sense is it doesn't sound like an unreasonable thing to ask. And it's the kind of thing that from a humanitarian perspective, and also probably from a public health perspective, would make sense to be sure is done correctly.
Well, I think when we look at our community here and the amount of low income people that we have here in our community, we want to save something like that for our people. So I'm not opposed to say, I think we should back this citizens group.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know,
Michael?
I have personal experience. My grandmother, my mother's mother, spent the last 9 months of her life at the county home. When her medical issues became such that we couldn't care for her at home anymore, she had Medicare coverage, but nothing else. I don't know what we would have done without a facility like the county home. I also feel it's the government's responsibility to take care of disadvantaged people, not only a government at any level, including the county. I'm disturbed that they seem resistant to listening to input, and Mr. Potts's statements are accurate, and I am sure they are. They've not been very forthcoming with information. Although I don't have a vote, I would be supportive of the resolution.
Michael, do you have anything?
I have from the first time that we got the letter from the group, I've thought it sounded very reasonable. Not that they're asking us to do anything, to try to pass a resolution to take legal action, but to make our voice heard. And I think it was a very reasonable request, and especially in light of the fact that the commissioners have not taken a whole lot of initiative in getting input. I think it's imperative that we take action and give input, requiring or asking them to slow this down, and because it serves a unique purpose in our county and in the community. My wife used to go into nursing homes, including Claremont, to do phlebotomy work, and she talked to people in different homes, and as she was there, some of them were repeat customers, if you will. And, I know what some of them told her they paid at some of the other homes. And there are people in our county that absolutely have no resources for those for the other for-profit and nonprofit homes. So I think it does fulfill a good purpose. And as he said, it's part of the core purpose of the county government to care for the less well off.
Yeah, I agree as well. My grandmother was an employee there for the last probably 15 or 20 years that she was employed, and while she was certainly far from well off, it may have been the reason why she herself didn't need to go into the nursing home or the county nursing home. So I'm flabbergasted that the commissioners don't believe that it's a core responsibility of county government. If that's not, then neither is paving 81 or anything else really, for that matter. So I'm all for it. Marcus, I'm going to ask for your guidance on this one. If we do a resolution, don't you have to draft that before we vote on it?
No, you can direct me to draft a resolution, and then we can, I suppose we could, you're telling me what you want me to say, and that is, I think you're saying, would you please take more time and consider all the alternatives and make sure that there remains a place in Cumberland County for low-income people to have a retirement home to service them. And then that's what it's going to basically say.
How about if we just talk generally about a few concepts that I jotted down here that would be the core of the resolution, and number one would be a whereas clause to the effect that Claremont Nursing Home has served the county dutifully and meaningfully for 190 years. It's considered a major county asset, that the recent problems with the Claremont are attributed to a downturn in the economy due to the COVID-19 virus. The Claremont Nursing Home has fulfilled a meaningful purpose for low-income residents of Cumberland County for over 190 years. The potential sale would have an economic impact upon Cumberland County, whereas the county staff may be unemployed. And I think that the last one, and I was disappointed to hear this because you all know we've worked so well with Carlisle Wellness Foundation here in our borough, but I think we should end with a whereas clause that would state, we urge the county commissioners to use the independent and professional review offered by the Wellness Foundation. And then just close with a statement that the Newville Borough Council requests the county commissioners to open this process to public comment and review prior to making a sale, which would include a public hearing, open to all county taxpayers and residents.
Yeah, I agree. We use the Wellness Foundation at One West Penn, the senior housing development, and they have really been a good source, a good resource for the board.
That was disappointing to me to hear that they turned down that help, because they do nothing but good, just like the nursing home does nothing but good work. So those are just a few ideas that I had for the resolution.
Fred, why don't we do this? Why don't you take those ideas and put them into a resolution, and make it so that each council member can sign it. And that would give anyone who has any misgivings about how it's worded the opportunity not to sign it. But again, this is a non-binding resolution that just expresses our concern as opposed to actually demanding that they do something.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
All right, so why don't we take a motion to have Fred draft a resolution to pause the sale of the Claremont Nursing Home.
And I'll review it.
Yes.
And then we can all pop in, hopefully by the end of this week and sign it and get it off. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, so I threw a motion out in front of you.
So
somebody
moved.
want to second it? Okay, do we have a second?
So moved.
All right.
Who made the motion?
Pardon me?
Who made the motion, please?
Mike.
Mike
I think
did.
Mike
Well,
did, yeah.
Scott or myself, either however you want to put it. And
Yep.
if Scott made the motion, I seconded.
Can Scott make the motion being president?
No, Michael made the motion and Joey seconded it. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, very good. Popping down to legal matters. Number one, Resolution 2021-05, which is the intergovernment agreement with Southampton Township for trash collection and recycling.
Yeah, it's Fred, do we have that in their packets?
No, I've not yet resolution, Marcus.
Okay, well then, I've just done a set for South Newton. I'll be doing it for Penn and for others that are part of the contract. I'll have that ready for you to review before our meeting at the end of the month. There's no rush for that thing. I've just been really busy doing other things.
All right, sounds good. Any questions about that before he finishes drafting that?
It's pretty standard. They pretty much suggested how they want it. So
I
again,
would
we're
assume
just
it's the same across the board minus
Yep.
what Newville is charging for their small fee.
right. That's the only difference between some are charging a bit more, some are charging the same amount that Newville is.
Okay. All right, number two, petition signing for the permit. Yes.
Could I just tell the council that we had a discussion today with Waste Management, and on Friday they are coming to pick up the recycling dumpster, and they will replace it with a new dumpster. And they were very happy to continue the program, and the proceeds from that recycling dumpster go to Toys for Tots. So we have worked that out as of today. It's not related to this contract at all, but you should all know that we did get good cooperation from Waste Management.
What can go in that recycling bit dumpster?
Any of the ferrous metals,
Okay.
steel, aluminum, we get a lot of steel products.
Okay. I was just curious, does the public know that they can use that?
Yeah.
Fred, does the public know that they can use that?
Yes, we have we put it in our newsletter from time to time.
Okay.
We run it on Facebook. I believe there was a sign out on the fence. I can't say for sure, but we did have a sign out on the fence.
Very good. All right, down to number two, the ballot question to permit alcohol sales. I gone around, we collected numbers last night. I just popped down to Cane's on my way up here. And we're at 120 signatures at this point. We need 155. We have a week to go. I know that a number of people are going out tomorrow and Friday and Saturday as well. So we're well on our way. And hopefully we can go far above and beyond that. So
Did you think it was
anything
going to be
else
that
on that?
difficult? Did you think it was going to be that difficult to get 155 signatures?
No. I always worry about petitioning process because it's only a 3-week period of time. It's the coldest time of the year.
Right.
And you're dependent on people willing to open their door and answer their door and that kind of stuff. So
Right.
that's, but the folks going around have done a great job. They've gone door to door. They've put it on Facebook. People have messaged them their address, and they've gone there to get their signatures. So they're doing a great job.
So you think we're on track for this, or do we need to, increase the effort somehow?
Well, it's never going to hurt to increase the effort. I think we're on track. I think we're good. I would love to hit 300 personally. I don't know whose names are on the petition, so I don't know how many might get thrown out or anything like that, but I certainly don't want to go in with 156.
Yeah, that's kind of my worry, that people are signing it that aren't registered to vote.
Yeah, I will say that the people going door to door are very well aware that you have to be not only a resident of Newville, you have to be an elector of Newville. There have been a number of questions of people outside, can they sign it? And they've all been very clear that unfortunately they can't, even though they've said that they come to Newville all the time and they would fully support it.
So next Monday is the deadline?
It has to be turned in on the 9th. So my plan is to collect them all and deliver them Monday evening.
Okay. Can we is it possible to get an update like midweek so we know if we need to, sort of.
Yeah, I'll try to round one up Friday. That's tomorrow's midweek. So
yeah.
So I'll try to do one on Friday after people have been out tomorrow.
Yeah, that'll give us the weekend to do a blitz if it's necessary, I guess.
Yeah. Anything else, Marcus, on that?
No, I like the way that you guys are being careful and transparent, and that's all you can ask for with a campaign like that. Remember, you're using the number of votes in an election year for presidential election, so it's always the highest number that you have to get. So,
yeah. All right. Number 3, report from the Borough Solicitor regarding the membership status of the Civil Service Commissioners.
we've taken a good hard look at it, and I commend the mayor for bringing up the issue. If you look at the language in the various civil service state regulations, on first glance, you would say, well, gee, nobody who's either appointed or elected should serve on the commission. But when you look more carefully at the case law behind it, it basically differentiates between someone who's elected or someone who has a voting authority to make decisions versus someone on a commission who has no authority to just as a recommending body without the ability to decide issues. So our view is that someone on the planning commission can serve on the commission because it's not a conflict of interest. And the problem is they haven't defined the public official definition with enough clarity to say specifically, no, you can't have anybody at all who serves in a borough position. They do make a distinction in the case law about someone who's just an advisory person as opposed to someone who has real decision-making, or someone who's employed by the borough. So that's our advice. Now you can say, look, we don't want any clouds at all on someone can do it. If someone wants to challenge this, they could take us to court. But the law is not clear on it, although there is case law that says if you don't have the ability to make a decision on behalf of the borough, you're not considered an official that's prohibited from serving on the commission.
Judge Marcus, just one additional question. Does the planning commission, don't they vote on things?
They vote on things, but they are a recommending body. They have no power to decide the issue.
But if someone submits a plan that they're not happy with, they can vote to reject it. Is that correct?
They can vote to reject it, but it's not rejected. It
Okay.
still goes up to the
Or council.
council, and the council decides ultimately. And the same thing is true of the county. The county can recommend not voting on something, and the authority body, the council, can still vote against the positions. Normally we don't, because we want to hear what the experts say and take that in consideration. But there are many times when planning commissions, especially the local planning commission, makes a recommendation that isn't followed by the board, by the council.
Okay. And again, I have no issue with the person. Of everyone logged on to this meeting, I have known her longer than anyone. Just a year or two longer than Joey, but she and my sister are high school classmates. That was never the issue. When I talked to the chief, went to the class, that by the way, that class, civil service class, was sponsored by the PA Association of Boroughs, and the instructor was a state civil service commission attorney. And he indicated to them that in each civil service regulation, if there are exceptions, those exceptions are listed directly under the section that they're exceptions to. And that with civil service eligibility, the only exceptions were you could appoint a school teacher and you could appoint a council member. And the attorney instructed everyone in the class, that's it. If there are no other gray areas or no other exceptions. However, if Marcus has case law, that would indicate that perhaps now there are a couple gray areas.
And it's a definition of appointed official that's the gray area. And again, it depends what the official does. It does not specifically say all appointed officials are prohibited, but it seems the case law says that someone who doesn't have the power to either decide an issue that's binding on the borough, or someone who is being employed by the borough financially should not be on the commission.
That's a reasonable answer. I mean, if that's what the case law says, I spent 40 years doing things based on case law.
I'm comfortable with the case law that Marcus provided, but partly because it provided case law specifically to a person on a planning commission, which, is the same situation we're in. Marcus, I can't remember, was that a Pennsylvania case law or case? Yes. Was that?
Yes.
It was, okay.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with it.
Well, I am now too. What I commend Marcus for digging this up, because what I wanted to avoid, civil service is the first step in a disciplinary hearing process for an officer, and you don't want to leave an opening where if there's a situation where an officer should be disciplined and is disciplined, and then the borough ends up losing because their first argument is had someone in civil service who wasn't eligible, so their recommendation is null and void.
And that's why you were right to bring up the issue, to make sure that we're being careful about it. And but again, I don't see how in this case someone has a conflict when they're just a recommending person. And that seems to be what the case law says. So,
Well, I'm comfortable with that.
okay.
Is
Well, again,
everybody
thank you.
else comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I don't think we need to do anything else then because.
The person was already, I think, appointed.
Correct.
Just send her the email to set up. I am swearing in Mr. Anderson tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 at the borough office. And it wouldn't be difficult to get Lucy there. And then Susan Salisbury is the only other person we need to get in.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else, Marcus?
No, not on that. Nope, we're fine.
Anything else for Marcus?
I did want to recommend that in light of the support that we've received on the issue of a potential municipal building, we ought to move forward with getting someone appointed to do the subdivision. Fred, that was what you had in mind, wasn't it?
Yes, Carl Bird, I think he would be the best choice.
And Carl's already been part of the building committee and has already done site work on the property. So it would be ideal to have him do the subdivision. And of course, that'll come before the planning commissions, both county and local, and then the council will have to vote on it. But it's nice to have someone who knows the tract of land and the fact that the closeness to the big spring is not an issue since there's already been a variance granted.
Fred, do you know about how much that costs?
It's hard to say. I mean, first of all, you're not going to have all the field work. The survey work is already done. The meets and bounds description is done. Carl knows he did all the work on the floodplain waiver. It's hard to say, Scott. It could be between 3,000, maybe 4,000 for his time. 4,000, I think, might be high. But your best bet in terms of time savings and monetary savings would be using Carl, because he's already got a lot of that data recorded on a CAD program.
And of course, you can ask for a verbal estimate for what it would be and report back to the council about that.
I just was looking ballpark. I didn't know if we were talking $500 or $10,000. So. Okay.
Somewhere between those two numbers.
Yeah. Does somebody want to make a motion to do that?
I moved.
All right, Joey moved it. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right. Anything else, Marcus?
That'll do it for now.
Okay, thank you. All right, Administration Committee, Michael.
Yes, sir. The two items from the admin committee are the suggestions from Borough Council to fill a vacancy on zoning hearing board, and I have not received any of those to date. I don't know if anybody else on the committee has or not.
I do not at this time.
All right. And then bids for the improvements on North Corporation Street. And I do not have that information with me at the moment. Fred, can you help me out on that?
Sure. We have 4 potential bidders, all who have performed work for us in the past. Rogel Construction, Jerry Slusser, the New Enterprise Stone and Limestone Company, and bids will be opened on March 12th at 10 a.m. March 12th at 10 a.m., and we'll do a tabulation and recommendation to council for the last meeting of.
Very good. Any questions about that? Okay. Anything else, Michael?
I have nothing more.
Okay, does anybody have questions for Mike? All right. I believe today you got quite a bit of information on the EDA and their meetings in February. And hopefully you had a chance to peruse over that. Jack, what do you got?
Well, yeah, I apologize for not being at the meeting last week. But I thought I'd just do a quick update on some of the highlights of it. The material was all sent out, and included in there are the minutes from the meeting, which kind of outlines everything that happened with the EDA at its last meeting. But I thought I'd just focus on a few highlights and maybe start with the committee updates. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to Joey to start. I think she convened the first meeting of the advisory council last week, I think. And
Yeah.
Joey, you want to take it?
Yes, we met on Thursday night, February 25th at the borough office. Every single member of my committee was there, which was very exciting because I figured out, 3 or 4 won't show up, but every single one did. We have such a diverse group. We have a senior in high school, we have a doctor, we have a pastor, we have people who own, a daycare, the president of the Kiwanis Club, we have a person that owns different homes in town, and we have a renter. I mean, it's just a good, diverse group. And everybody seemed to be really excited that changes being made in the borough. And there was a lot of discussion. Part of it was about the survey that had been done and what people wanted to see. And most of the ones that were there at the meeting talked about housing, and they talked about things for youth to do, because there just isn't anything really, for our young people. And of course, they talked about restaurants. That's always a big thing. We brought up about the alcohol, and there wasn't anybody that was really opposed. Even Pastor, Good said that he's not opposed to it. He doesn't know that he could get behind it, but he would not, oppose it either. One of the things that Dr. Pion mentioned was possibly getting another dentist here in town, and also an eye doctor. We haven't had an eye doctor in some time. So those are things that he would like to see. And actually, after the meeting, he came up to me and asked me to do some investigating with the Partnership for Better Health, the Carlisle Wellness, to see if there's anything that they can do to help us get a dentist or an eye doctor, into town, which I thought was, a really good idea. Because I know when I worked for Dr. Scholey, we had a lot of people from Greenridge that came because they didn't have to travel very far. And even, people here in Newville, they still do like to shop local if they can. And he had mentioned to me too that they had actually looked at Dr. Scholey's old business, because they were looking to put in like an urgent care type facility, but that building just wasn't, really suitable for, what they were looking at. So, on the medical end of it, they're looking to bring new things in. Mr. Good or Pastor Good talked about, even though his church is outside the borough, they always have, places there that people could use, if they needed to, to hold something. I know that Lisa Black had talked about like even up at the fairgrounds, doing, some concerts and things like that to, help bring people, into the area. So, it was a lot of really good discussion. We did decide that we were not having a meeting every month, that we were going to try to do it quarterly. The next one is on May the 11th. But if, we needed to discuss something, we would throw out some emails to people. And if we decided we needed to have a meeting, prior to that, we would. But all in all, I thought it was a really good first meeting. And I think they were impressed that we accomplished so much from June of last year when the EDA started to now. And Andrea was there, and she did go over the PowerPoint that Chris had presented to our council, which I thought was a really good idea for her to do that, because that shed a light on everything. So all in all, it was a good meeting.
And I think there's some useful ideas there that needs to be fed back into the next EDA meeting.
Right.
And that's the whole purpose of the committee. So
right.
Right. And then just going on from there, the PHC meeting was held last month. Joey mentioned the consumer survey results. They came out late last month. I sent them out today, if you haven't seen them. But we had 300 plus responses. People were very strong about, it was kind of broken into two categories, business and services on the one hand and food on the other. We're asking people's preferences for what they would like to see in terms of businesses here. On the business service side, the things in sort of an order of importance to people were entertainment, consignment shop, antiques, personal service. On the food side, coffee shop, bakery, brew pub, Asian food, family restaurants. I mean, no big surprises here, but a real confirmation of what it is that people are interested in, which gives the prospect hosting committee now some clear data to start doing some outreach to key businesses. So we're going to publicize the results of the survey on social media and print media. Valerie Copenhagen is working with her people at KDIC to get a Valley Times Star or some other kind of story about it, so that people know that it's going on. It now allows us to start going forward with our trifold, which we've had for quite a while, but we've been holding off until we figured out what kind of businesses we need to go after. So we're going to banks, real estates, chambers of commerce, the small business development center, KDIC, local townships. Those are all going to be important distribution points for the trifold to get out, because they will be important points of contact for small businesses. The committee members are taking assignments for each of those segments to get those out to folks. We decided that we would target small business outreach right now. Valerie once again suggested that a good place to start would be to look to small businesses that are already in operation, but that are looking for a second location. And she's working on a list of names for us right now. I mean, there are apparently a lot of small businesses in Carlisle and Shippensburg and other places that are looking to expand. So that would give us an opportunity to go to them, because we're asking them to expand their business, not to move their business from Carlisle to Newville, which which could be problematic. But that's, we'll have that list and the members will be start to work through that. With that, we need to start focusing then much harder on where do we put these businesses. If you look on our website, we've only got one property listed that would be suitable for business right now. So we really need to work on that. Jason was working on that, but he's not able to work on it any longer. So Andrea is working to see if she can find some folks in the real estate community who would be willing to take that on as a responsibility to find the listings that we need in Newville for small businesses. And then what else? Yeah, just a couple other things. The website build out is just about completed. We should be able to go live with that pretty soon. Tessa's just doing some last fixes based on conversations she's had with Andrea. And then I'm not sure what else people want to hear about. The committee had its meeting. They focused on the strategic plan. A big focus this time was talking about parking, because parking is a huge impediment to business here. So there's a lot of conversation about off-street parking and about trying to do what we can to improve that. There was some conversation about using blighted properties for that regard. And I know Fred is working hard on this, but Chris talked about this, that the county has a blight program where if you can't rehabilitate projects, you can take them over and then repurpose them to something else. And that might be there are properties in Newville where that might be a possibility. Actually, last week I sat in on a call that Kirk Stoner ran with Mira Kuna, who's the new head of the redevelopment authority. And she was saying that blight is going to be a major priority for them going forward. Streamlining the process for municipalities to move forward on the process for getting things designated as a blight and moving past that point. And also there'll be more money. So she's used this as a real opportunity to help municipalities in that regard, and that could be really helpful to us. We also talked about some ideas for technical assistance for small businesses, and then an idea about the putting together a mini package. And a lot of this is actually from Fred's thinking for new businesses in town or to businesses we're trying to attract to town. Work in cooperation with the rail trail folks, the Newville Beautification Society, the Newville Area Events Organization, the Borough Council, to come up with a package of things that we could offer to a new business. Something that might be worth a couple $1,000s. Things like window treatments for a new business, signage, facade updates, plantings, helping with marketing strategy, but kind of a welcome package, to incent businesses to relocate here. And so that was kind of the strategy discussion for the meeting. And then finally, the EDA board did vote to approve a statement of support for our ballot question. So that's pretty much it. I mean, if there are any other questions or comments, happy to handle them.
Anything for Jack? All right. Thank you, Jack.
Sure. There is one, I missed a note on an admin item, just a bit of information. The borough insurance package has been paid off. Property, casualty, auto, errors and omissions, and liability. It's all been, and workers' comp. They've all been paid off. We've got no more insurance payments due until July.
Okay. Parks and Rec, I don't think Ed's on, is he? I was gonna wish him happy birthday. I think he became an octarian. Is that what that is, an octarian?
Octogenarian?
Yesterday.
Well, on
Yeah, maybe
Facebook,
that
it
one.
looks like he had a really good time, which may be why he's
Yeah.
not here tonight.
Well, when he goes back to listen, happy birthday, Ed. There are a couple things under Parks and Rec to discuss the improvements of the press box. I know he's looking to get that information from Kevin Yost here shortly if he doesn't already have it. He also on here is they would like to set Tuesday, March 23rd at 7 o'clock as a time and date for a meeting for the Parks and Rec Commission. And we need to authorize advertisement of this meeting. So we do need a motion for that.
So moved.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Anything else for Parks and Rec that you need to bring up? All right, under public safety, I don't think Mr. Darius is on. Discuss the proposal for the upgrades to the computer server at the Newville Police Office. Fred, do you have any other information on that?
Yes, this is all being prompted due to the fact that the body cameras and the Borough Council has upgraded, and we have body cameras that have exceptional audio and video clarity. And this, according to the chief, takes up a lot more storage space on the devices. So the chief has contacted Moorfield, and we have a proposal for Moorfield to install an upgraded server device, would be $1,393. He has also reached out to Curb Tech. We have yet to receive a proposal, but if we do not receive a proposal at the regular monthly meeting, we will be asking council to approve the Moorfield proposal in the amount of $1,393.
Okay.
One additional item, part of the discussion at the last meeting, the chief has no desire or intent to keep the Dodge Charger. In fact, he expressed happiness that the thought that you will take it off his hands.
All right. And I'm assuming that would be, with the replacement of a new vehicle.
Yeah, yes, but it's become problematic, and he feels problematic enough that it would just be pretty much regular repair bills, and he doesn't want that.
Okay. Anything else for public safety?
Just a quick update on the patrol car. We do have a proposal from Kovach Ford up in Nescahoning, which includes a lease purchase option. The lease purchase option for 911 rapid response, Ford Motor Credit will not fund it. The reason for that is 911 rapid response is not a Ford dealership. So the chief has gone back to McGuire Ford. McGuire was actually going to furnish the car to 911. He's getting a proposal from McGuire Ford. We'll match that with the proposal from 911, and hopefully Ford Motor Credit will give us a proposal. We did also reach out to Mid-Penn Bank. Mid-Penn Bank gave us a rate of 3.5%. However, they are looking for a 20% down payment on the car, and they will fund 80% for 5 years. So that's where we are right now. The best option looks to be Kovach, but we're going to see what Ford Motor Credit has to offer. We'll have more on that for the next regular monthly meeting.
Okay. Also, I informed the chief probably at the end of this month meeting to bring the spec sheets along for the new car so he can answer any questions. Even though the spec sheets are multiple pages, it's pretty much just the standard police vehicle stuff that for some reason it is 4 or 5 or 6 pages long. but it's nothing out of the ordinary. But he's going to bring it along and answer any questions you would have.
Anything else for public safety? I guess, well, one thing, apparently another truck hit the light last night. When I hear and blew a tire and woke up half of Newville. At least that's what Facebook said. But you also, have we gotten anywhere on the sidewalk letters?
Okay, let's back up to the traffic light. We've not had a response from PennDOT. So I did furnish our letter to Senator Ward. Catherine was in the office today. She took a copy of the letter back to the senator, and hopefully the senator will move someone along down at PennDOT to come out and meet with us and address our concerns. Regarding the sidewalks, our timing for sending out those notices will be in around April. To put all the notices together with the documentation, it's going to be pretty time consuming.
Okay. I just was curious if we've had any responses to it yet. So that's all.
No, we did have one response to the letter regarding tree trimming from a gentleman down on East Main Street, and he was going to get a proposal to have his tree trimmed.
All right. Bouncing back up to Parks and Rec, I forgot Jody was on. She's quiet as a church mouse right now. She probably could fill us in on where things are going for the summer program at this point. Maybe. I thought she was on.
Your name.
Maybe she just doesn't want to talk. I don't know.
Locked up.
Oh.
So, yeah, I spoke with Vintage Crew today. So they're definitely going to have us in on June 25th. So that's the second Friday. And then you said on May, we have the high school band and the chorus scheduled.
Yep.
So
they're very excited.
But we really, I think your idea of food trucks is really good, and we should, get some in. What is the regulation if we have wineries like slushies or whatever? Are they allowed to sell those just as a pop-up, food truck thing or not?
I'd probably say no, because you have to drink the slushy sitting in the crowd, and would that be permissible?
Well, if you're talking about food trucks with alcoholic products, they need, wineries need special licenses to do that from place to place. So you have to make sure that have the proper license. But yeah, even in dry townships like South Newton, they're allowed to have a wine tasting or whatever the vendors are licensed to do on a itinerant basis where they go from place to place. But their license permits it.
But could they sell it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but again, the license would have to permit it.
Right. Okay.
Scott, could I just offer something?
Yep.
The Fountain Festival had a request from a winery in Lower Frankfort Township to come out and do just that. They would provide everything, the stand. They do have a license that allows them to sell at events. And you may want to contact, I can put you in touch with one of the township supervisors out there in Lower Frankfort, Jim Burkhalter. But they would be very interested, Jody, I think, in coming in and they do have a license that allows for that type of activity.
Okay,
I guess
is it long shot? Is that
I,
who they had? Because that's who's interested in coming.
that's a group. If they're based in Lower Frankfort, that's the winery.
I'm pretty sure that
I guess,
that's who it was.
yeah, that's who it was. I guess my question is not so much of, if somebody wants to go and buy a bottle of wine and so on, are people permitted to sit on their lawn chairs on the street watching the concert and drink alcohol? That's where my question would come in.
Well, they wouldn't be in the street. They would be in the park, correct?
We talked about them doing it in front of the fountain.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I thought we were going to do this in the park.
Yeah, we talked about doing it in front of the fountain between High Street and the fountain. Either way, I mean, the park,
okay.
you can't have alcoholic
No,
beverages.
I know. That's true.
So,
Again,
if you
it's,
tell me I can have a wine slushie and sit back and watch a concert, I'm all for it. But
Well, that's what I thought.
that's
That
my
would be
question.
really cool.
Yeah,
I
it might be frowned upon for the high school band and chorus, though.
Well, no, we wouldn't have it during theirs. But I'm just saying one of the adult bands that we would have in. Because I know we go, like some of the state parks in northern PA, even though there are no alcoholic beverages allowed, when they have their festivals, they do have the winery stands and beer stands there.
Yeah.
again, if the license permits it, it's okay to do. The
Like
only
for a
concern-
one-time thing. It's not like they're setting up shop or anything.
No, it's for a special event sort of license permit. The only concern I have is if they're selling slushies, wouldn't that be attractive to kids?
Yeah, but the adults would be there to buy them. I mean, I would assume they would be checking IDs if they had a question.
That's my only, if they make it look
Yeah.
like I hope they make it look like an adult beverage as opposed to a snow cone. That's all.
Yeah, it's not a snow cone.
It's not a snow cone. It's in a cup.
A 90 proof
Like a-
snow
like a
cone would be a little difficult to explain.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay. Down to quality of life, Joey?
I know I brought up at the last meeting about people for recognition. And I had suggested Mike Bender and Bob Barrick. I don't know if anybody else has any suggestions.
Recommendation been made when Jim McNally resigned from the planning commissioner, did not pursue renewal of his appointment to the planning commission. Recommendation been made that he be recognized for his years of service to the borough, and everybody was in favor of it, but I don't think anything has been followed through on that.
No, I thought he did get one, didn't you, Fred?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
he
I
did.
thought so. Yeah,
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
yes.
Yeah.
And Fred, did Mike Fry ever get one?
No.
See, I think he would be another good one for everything that he, has done throughout his term with the Christmas decorations, what he does for the food bank, what he does for Neighbors in Christ. I mean, I think he would be another good one.
Joey, how about Irv and Barb Nelson?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, they do a lot with the community testing.
And, yeah,
Yeah. Barb Nelson just lost her sister, Suzanne Richardson.
yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you have a stroke, Jody or Joey?
Yes, well, they thought she had leukemia. They gave her one treatment and then she had a reaction to that. And then she did have a stroke. Yes. Yes. It's a sad time at Zion right now.
I bet.
Very sad time. So, but that is a good suggestion there, Fred. Thank you.
Okay, so I have down Mike Bender, Irvin Barb Nelson, Bob Barrick, Mike Fry.
Yes. Anybody think of anybody else? Okay. So we'll just need to set up a time to, to recognize them.
So let's make it official then, and let's look for a motion to recognize Mike Bender, Irv and Barb Nelson, Bob Barrick, Mike Fry for their ongoing contributions to the Borough of Newville.
So moved.
It's been moved
I'll second it.
and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right.
Okay. The other thing, I know that I
Anything
brought
else,
it up.
Joey?
Yeah, I do. I know a couple months ago I brought up about the car show, because we didn't have it last year. And Kathy Lloyd and I were talking, and because this is the time of the year, if you want to get donations from specific, organizations or corporations, now's the time you need to do it. And I told Kathy I didn't know whether we could get it passed, but our numbers are going down. It is going to be something that's going to be obviously outside. So I was hoping that council would approve us to at least tentatively start, preparing, for the car show for the Pennsylvania Wounded Warriors. And we were looking at a date of September the 18th.
All right, so that sounds like a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. Any other discussion? The only thing I would say, just can we make sure that the park is open now?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right.
Okay. That's what I have right now.
Any questions for Joey? Okay, very good. Any old business? Any new business? Beyond what we've already addressed? Future agenda items? Okay, I do have a couple announcements here. So March 2nd and 3rd, which was today and tomorrow, all the sidewalks along the state roads are being hand brushed, hand broomed. And then the 4th and the 5th, our folks are going to clean the streets along the state roads. And then the first week of April, hopefully we'll get all the streets in town swept as well. That would be curb to curb, and that should, hopefully we don't have any more snow. So I think that's all the announcements that I had. I think Fred shared some positive tax news with us today, or he shared it yesterday, I think, with me. The EIT taxes are slightly above what they were pre-COVID last year, so that's good, and hopefully they stay at that level. I shouldn't say slightly above; they're probably 25% above what they were, so that's positive. Anything else, Fred?
Yeah, you're right, Scott. We had a sharp increase in EIT for March this year compared to last year. Tomorrow we will receive $24,618. Our tax duplicate for this year shows total tax revenue for general fund will total $269,335.89, which is about a $34,000 increase in your general levy, most of which is attributed to that $500,000 increase. And our occupational tax levy is up to $10,535, which is about a $3,000 increase. And that's probably due in large measure to the number of homes that were sold last year and the new people moving into town who are wage earners. We had a question at the last finance meeting about how we would be able to proceed with our occupational tax. We had lost the printer that had done the work for us for many years. Had a meeting last night with Jerry Ann Spangler, and we are going to print our own bills. We did a test of it last night, and we can do it. Jody is going up to the print shop tomorrow. We have to have a special window envelope, but I'm confident that Dan Schaefer can print us that envelope. All we need to do is run off the bills, stuff them, and we should be able to mail our occupational taxes out to our residents by the end of March. That alone will save us about $1,200 in printing cost. So we have found a solution to the occupational tax problem that we faced last month. That's all I have.
All right, very good. I don't have any citizen comments on my end. Anything else for the good of the order before we head out? Okay. You know what you need to do.
I make a motion that we end this meeting and regroup March the 30th at 7 p.m.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You can stay on.